you will see a shift in the kind of people that you attract. I would feel so uncomfortable with having large amounts of money in my account because I'd never had that.
And I just love desire. I think it's so fun and juicy and sensual and romantic.
I was always wondering how, like when a person's like, oh, Spirit is saying this to me, I was like, how does that work? Until I experienced it. That you told me to do when I go to bed, I've been doing it. I was like, oh, really?
Oh my goodness. He's 12.
He's 12.
If this has found you, you have something so magical to share with the world. And I believe you have manifested this wise, wonderful, brilliant woman by my side to support you in believing in your voice enough to share it. I am so grateful and blessed to be sitting next to a fellow soul sibling joining us on the Soul Salon today. Welcome, Sno, to the Soul Salon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am so happy to be here. I love being here. I love your energy. It's so, so beautiful to bask in.
Ooh, beautiful to bask in. That's exactly how I feel. I walked into the room and I have this thing where it's not easy for me to feel like safe with people. But when I feel it, I'm like, ooh. So just now I went to the bathroom and I was like, yes, I'm at home. I'm so blessed and grateful. So it's a gift to do this with you. I'm so excited. It's been so wonderful to be reading your work and your words. But before we tap into your divine, spiritual, creative journey, I'd love to ask you, what does the soul mean to you? We are in the Soul Salon. So what does the soul mean to you?
The soul to me is the truest part of myself before the world told me who to be. You know, it's the remembrance, that authentic part of myself that cannot be altered, even though I've tried to kind of mask it with what the world says you should be, how you should exist in spaces. I think it's that part that always kind of pulls you back and is like, come back, we're here.
Wow. Oh my word. I felt that in my spirit as you were saying that, the truest part of myself, who the world taught me not to be. Everything you just shared about masking, that's such a powerful word. And the part that keeps calling you back. Instantly, as you said that, I got this like rush of connection to my inner child and to that part of us that was so expressed and so safe. And so I love that so much. And what makes your soul feel most alive, most expressed?
I think it's been it has been so fun getting in touch with the soul, because now I realize that things that I never thought I liked, I absolutely love. I love expressing myself. I love sharing my work. I love having these kinds of conversations. They really set my soul on fire. I love expressing myself, whether it be singing in the shower or journaling or writing my essays or just going out with friends, or really just being by myself and listening to myself, listening for insights or whatever it's going to be. But that really, really sets my soul on fire.
Delicious. Oh, sets your soul on fire. Expression. It sounds like you're very in touch with expressing yourself. Absolutely. There's something you said in there that was so powerful. You said so much, and something that really awoken something in me is you said, I found that I enjoyed all these things that I think you said I wasn't taught to enjoy. I didn't think that I enjoyed. Can you say more about that, about discovering this path, discovering you actually love expressing yourself? And now you are channeling that in all these different ways, like singing in the shower. I think all of us can relate to the juiciness of that conversation, and also solitude. So how did you discover that artistic voice within you?
I think, first of all, it was the willingness to find it. You know, being in a space where you're like, you know what, I think I'm ready to really find out what it is that I like, you know, knowing myself better than I'd know like the next person, you know. I felt like I knew the people around me more than I knew myself.
Wow.
And that was worrying to me, because I'm like, if I'm going out into the world, who am I? You know? And so when I started trying different things, you know, I realized that, oh my goodness, I absolutely love doing this. I love showing up as this person, and it feels so good and so aligned, and it's grounding, especially if that's who you are. Because I feel like when we're on this journey, I like to say it's not that we are becoming this new person. You're just remembering who you've always been. And I love this quote by Vincent van Gogh. It says, if I'm worth something later, that means I'm worth something now. For wheat is wheat, even when all people see is grass in the beginning. You know? So it's really so beautiful to witness. I look at myself in the mirror and I just smile because I'm like, oh my goodness, this was so good.
Oh my word. Wow. We are all celebrating that you have found that within yourself.
Thank
and
you.
that return you mentioned. It's not something new. It's a remembrance. That's
Absolutely.
such a powerful insight. And then how you started, willingness. That is such a powerful word, right? Like
Absolutely.
the willingness to discover, to learn, to unlearn. And you were willing to get to know yourself in a beautiful and intimate way. And it sounds like that has given so many fruits to your spirit and therefore through you and your writing and your work. And that quote you just shared about, if I'm worth something then, I'm worth something now, the wheat and the becoming. I love how you explore that in your work.
Yes.
The stages of growth. Oh, so stunning. I love this so much. Wow. Thank you for sharing this. Now, I know that all of us in this reclamation of our soul expression, in the finding that juiciness with your voice, there are fears we are asked to overcome.
Absolutely.
So many, and limiting beliefs. So I'm so curious, on your path, what was your greatest fear that you were invited to face, heal, overcome in order to be at a place where you're looking in the mirror smiling?
Yes.
And also the greatest limiting belief you had to face?
You have a calling on your heart that won't stop calling. Whether that is writing a book that's translated across the world, or speaking on worldwide stages, or hosting a podcast and being in your own gorgeous studio, or quitting your 9-to-5 to start your own soul-led business, launching your music career, launching the YouTube channel you've had on your heart for months, if not years. If you are like me and if you are like our community, you have big, juicy dreams in your creative soul that long to be expressed through you in this lifetime. And can we first just celebrate how far you have come, all the ways that you are doing the healing work, taking action, showing up in ways that your younger self would be so proud of. Now you are ready to step into aligned community spaces with fellow big dreamers who are taking aligned action on those dreams. What if you had a community of like-hearted, soul-led creators, artists, visionaries, changemakers who are witnessing you and cheering you on at every step of the way, giving you the accountability to make your vision real? We've all felt the gap between vision and action, the gap between what we say we want and then how we actually show up for that wanting every single week. Soulcraft is designed to meet you in that gap, in that juicy void, in that in-between that is actually the majority of the creator's life, the process, the journey, the unfolding. Soulcraft is a soul-led community of creators, artists, visionaries, and changemakers who are committed to doing the devotional work of bringing our creative dreams to life. How we hold the perfectionism and the fear and the doubt and the procrastination and all of the ebbs and flows of the creative process, and how we witness and support each other at every step of the way, celebrating the tiniest step as though it is a Grammy moment. Because let's be real, we don't get to the book launch or the best-selling book if we don't show up to write word by word, sentence by sentence, chapter by chapter. And so if I'm speaking your language and you feel called to find resonant souls with similarly big Delulu dreams, but who are sort of like the rare souls committed to actually showing up for those dreams, because it is such a humbling and much longer journey than anyone will tell you. And so if you are committed to doing that, if you're committed to working with your fears rather than trying to wait until you no longer have them, if you're committed to stepping into your purpose rather than waiting for the perfect conditions, Soulcraft is the community for you. So if you are full of heart, full of soul, full of sensitivity, full of love and compassion, and also full of the desire to heal and help the world, to create and leave the world a better place than you found it, to leave your mark somehow and get to the end of your life and not have that familiar regret of wishing you had had more courage to live the life true to you. If you are committed to, in this lifetime, creating things that are of substance, of resonance, of meaning for the collective, ideas, stories, YouTube channels, essays, Substacks, whatever it may be that is on your heart to create, a screenplay, an event, a community, trust that that idea has chosen you, it is seeking you, and maybe it has sent this invitation to you to help you walk the journey towards it. Visit school.com/soulcraft, that's SKOOL.com .com/SOUL, Soul, CRAFT, craft. We would love to see you in there as we do the daily, devotional, juicy, humbling, delicious, terrifying, scary, wonderful, magical, mundane, oh my gosh, no one talks about it, work of living our dreams and bringing them to life. I'm sending so much love and I hope to see you inside Soulcraft. Now let's get back to today's soul session.
I think the fear that I had, and it's one that I think most of us have, is the fear of being seen. Because you just like, when you're trying to show up in the world and you want to have your voice, you want to share your voice with people, what stops you is that voice that says, how are people going to see you? And sometimes you find that when you do share, it's not even that people are going to look at you in a different way. It's just that voice in you, and then you're projecting it onto this faceless crowd and thinking that people are going to think I'm cringe, or people are going to think I'm that. I'm going to say the wrong thing and people are going to cancel me, you know? And it just kind of holds you back. And I think that's usually, especially if you're not a person that's used to speaking, right? Having your voice be heard by other people. It's just your body trying to protect you, really, because it's not used to this thing. It's new. So it's just like, are we safe to do? Is it safe to do this? You know? So I had to overcome that fear and just tell myself that as long as I like who I see in the mirror at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And my work is going to resonate with the person that it's supposed to get to, you know? So I don't have to worry about the people that might not get the message that I'm trying to send, you know? As long as there's one person that's like, oh, I resonate so much with this, that'll be so beautiful for me. Because at the end of the day, I think when I write, I think I always say I'm writing to myself, you know? I'm talking to myself. So overcoming that fear of being seen really, really helped me so much. I mean, sometimes it creeps up, you know, comes back. But I think I've been able to kind of go against the voice that says you can't, because I know that I can, and I will do it, you know? And the limiting belief that I used to have was that in order for me to see myself as worthy of anything, I have to have accomplished ABC, you know? If I don't have this to my name, then am I worth something? And then that made me shrink myself in spaces and kind of end up self-sabotaging in other spaces, you know? So coming to terms with the fact that I am worth it as I am. Whether I am sad, I'm angry, I have one rant to my name, I'm still worthy, you know? It doesn't change anything because my worth does not come from material things. It's my birthright. So I think that's really one limiting belief I had to let go, and I'm actively letting go of it because it kind of creeps up again, you know.
Poetry. I think every single one of us listening to you speak can see ourselves reflected and mirrored in what you're describing, wanting to take up more space, but fearing being seen, projecting, like you said, onto a faceless crowd that feels so dangerous to your nervous system and scary, and the thought of what people could say and everything you named about, are they going to say I'm cringe? Or are they going to say I'm not good enough? And these fears we have within ourselves. And it's such a gift, because in liberating yourself from those voices, or at least from them stopping you, you then liberate us through your work, which is such a gift, that your voice is out there and being expressed, that you're writing, and that you are here to teach us so much. And I think that gift of, okay, as I free myself, I free others. I am someone's permission slip. And what you mentioned about taking it from this grandiose desire to like, what if this could help just one person? That's something that I deeply connect to and teach on and share and believe in. So I really resonate with that so much, because that is ultimately what it's about.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. And then where you took us with this limiting belief that you had around worthiness.
Yes.
Oh, what a word. There's a whole world in that word. I think so many of our fears and our blocks are of not feeling worthy. So how did you, as you were saying, you are wrestling with, or you danced with the fear of being seen, with the feelings of being unworthy. I think the listener may be wondering like, okay, but how did you do that? Because I still fear being seen, and I'm like struggling to press publish on this post, or struggling to promote my event. So please teach us, how do we do this? I think that is that cry for help, or not even a cry, invitation.
Yes.
to learn from your wisdom on how you face this fear.
I'd love to share. But the thing is, before I say how I overcame it, it's not something that's instant, something that works like magic. You have to work on it. You have to. So what I did first was change how I saw myself. So the opposite of how I always saw myself, you know? So for example, if maybe there's an opportunity, sometimes I stop myself because I'm like, what if I don't get chosen, right? And then I'll just stop myself and ask, but if I don't get chosen, what does that take away from me? It doesn't take anything away from me because, you know, if anything, you just have to extend yourself to those kinds of things. So it's just building a different self-concept of yourself, how you see yourself. And I think changing your self-concept actually helps with how people receive you, because I believe that people are just our mirrors. People treat us how we treat ourselves, you know. So if you want to be treated a certain way, there's nothing wrong with that. But start with self. Treat yourself like that. And I think what helped me with that was doing affirmations. I would repeat affirmations. I would write them down. I think I still have them as my wallpaper. Wow. So every time I pick up my phone, I see it. I am a creator and I consciously create. I don't chase, I attract. Everything that I desire desires me even more. And even when you start, because when I started it, I didn't believe it. But you don't have to believe it. You just have to keep saying it until it actually settles in you. And you get to a place where you actually believe it. And I think repetition is like the most important thing here. You just keep saying it. You say it, even you start feeling like maybe you're losing it a little, but you just keep repeating it until you believe it. I think that is one thing that I did. Even when I'm journaling, I use I am so much. So I am lovely. I am beautiful. I am talented, until I believed it, until I was able to share myself, like share my talents and say to people, okay, so this is how I think about this thing. So if you resonate, take it. You know, it might help. But I think I also respect the fact that we're all different. So our path towards being less fearful might not be the same. But I think the greatest thing is always the self-concept, how you see yourself. It's very, very important. It's very important.
Ooh, wow. There was so much nourishment and richness in that. I received so much from that. The first energetic setting the table was be patient. It takes time. It's not overnight, like you said. I think that's so powerful. The second step that you laid out around, okay, this is my limiting belief. What is the opposite? And then this becomes the affirmation. I believe that I'm not going to be chosen. Everything I desire desires me even more. That was I love that one. I'm taking that one with me. It's beautiful. It's so true. And then where you took us to next around, the self-concept work and the repetition. It's so important. Your nervous system will believe whatever you tell it. So you can keep, as long as you keep telling it. And I again love how you're walking us through a journey that you don't have to believe it at first. It believes you, or it will. There'll be a shift, an inflection moment where you do start to believe. And so I adore these affirmation practices, these I am statements. So thank you so much for sharing that. And the slow reconstruction or invitation, the shifting, the transformation that can happen. So what a gift to receive that. And now I think people are wondering, okay, this divine woman, who are you in your own words? How would you describe your work in this world? And I like to not start there because I think that's what society does. If you're a this or you're a that, but any aspects of your identity, your culture, anything you feel called to just speak to in this moment, we would love to hear who you are in your own words.
I think, and my inner child would actually be so excited to hear me say this, I believe that I'm a soul-led creative. And that's just who I am. And my hope is that I do help people remember, just like how I remembered who I am, what aligns with my higher self. I hope that the work that I do helps people gravitate towards remembering who they've always been before all the noise that came. So I'm really just a creative that loves expressing. Oh, I love expressing, whether it be my feelings or just having conversations. It could be anything that I'm really passionate about. I love pouring into my interests. And I think I'm very intuitive, and I love that about myself. So yeah, that's who I am.
Wow. Wow. I feel just a warmth in my whole body listening to you say that, and listening to you frame it as how your inner child would feel so proud and delighted to hear you say that I am a soul-led creative, and what it's taken for you to get to a place where you claim that and you feel that, and it feels good to you and true to you. It's such a gift to all of us who struggle to call ourselves creators or artists, or really come home to that.
Yes.
And I love that there's this theme in your spirit of remembrance, of allowing people to remember who they are and returning them to their truth, and doing that within yourself and therefore within us. It's such a gift. And then, expression. You love expression, and expression loves you.
Yes.
This is such a gift to my spirit to listen to and receive. And I know to everyone learning from you, it's so beautiful how our gifts, like what pours energy into us, also pours energy from us in such an aligned way. So what an incredible way to describe yourself.
Thank you.
We thank you for the work you do to express and to pour into yourself. It's just so juicy. It's so wonderful. I'm just in awe of that, and that we are sharing our voices and honoring our voices is such a gift to them. So that's lovely. And I think you touched on this before, like what you feel your soul came here to express or do in the world.
I think my soul, again, expression. I think it's really based in expression. So whether I'm expressing it through writing or through design or just having conversations with people, but also experience love in its entirety and without holding back or like having the fear of losing it, whether it be romantic or platonic or just with family, we sometimes love, but still holding on to the fear of what if I lose this? And I've come to realize that that's really not how I want to love. I don't want to love like that. So I think my soul is here to experience love in every way possible, but also experience pleasure without guilt. I think we spoke about this also. So yeah, experiencing love, experiencing pleasure without the guilt, and just kind of like just allowing myself to be in all kinds of relationships that I can be in, if it's with work, if it's with my partner, it's with my friends, my family, just kind of being there, being where my feet are. I think that's what my soul is here to do.
I resonate so deeply with that. And it's such a remembrance that you've actually just gifted to me personally as you're saying that, because I love where you started. So, the idea that your soul is here to express, and you love expression, writing, expressing through design, expressing through speaking and through conversation. But then the idea that your soul has also come here to experience love. I think I can sometimes focus on what my soul has come here to create and express and do, but ultimately that is what our souls have come here to do. And what you said about experiencing love uninhibited by fears, uninhibited by all the ways we block love, and all the forms of love that are possible to experience in this lifetime, that is a remembrance for all of us. If we ever lose touch with that, which in our today's society, it's so easy to lose touch with the soul and with love. So it's a really beautiful and powerful way of returning us to that insight that ultimately that is what we are here to also do, is to express and also love, be expressions of love. And I adore that, because it also is about what have I come here to receive as well, not only what have I come here to give. So what a gift. Oh, it's such an incredible gift to listen to you share how you see the world. And to that point of love and expression that you've mentioned, you have a connection to spirituality, which I love, and also have a connection. And so I'm so curious to you. You have this motto that you write about, and I'd love to hear in your own words, what is that motto? And what does being spiritual like mean to you? You know, we all have so many different understandings and unique relationships with the infinite, with the divine, with the higher power. So yes, I'd love to hear more about your spiritual connection.
So the motto is everything spiritual and romantic in my world. And this is something that I saw one day when I was scrolling on, I think it was, I was on social media. And I was like, oh my goodness, that is absolutely how I want my life to be. And so this started as me not being there, not feeling like that. But I was like, I want to get there. You know, I want everything to be spiritual in my world. I want it to be romantic. And I think that with me, spirituality is woven into the way I live my life. It's not separate from me. It's not something I put on. It's something that is woven, and I think it's woven in like a lot of us, you know? And so I love that. I love being connected. I love being close to nature. I love touching grass, literally speaking to the trees, telling the trees my problems. I absolutely love that, you know? And the romantic aspect of it is just how I'm so in love with my life right now. I'm in love with myself. And I always say, I feel like when a person is looking at my life, they might be like, what is there to celebrate?
Wow.
You know, because it's not visible to anybody outside, but I know what I feel inside. And I think the love I have for myself, it's very romantic. I love it so much. I love looking at myself in the mirror and seeing myself and loving what I see and smiling because of me. It's not something that has come naturally to me. I had to work for it. I wasn't like the most confident person, although I tried to be, but I love that I've actually grown to a point where I am like everything I'm doing feels romantic to me. You know, I love the way I think. Oh, I enjoy the way I think. I love my brain so much. I love the way I do things. It's always so unique to me. And I'm just like, oh, I love this girl. And I think it's so, so beautiful to be where I am. And the reason why I speak so passionately about it is because I have prayed to get to this place where I am right now. So it feels so good. It feels really good to love and see myself the way I do right now. So it's very beautiful.
Wow, I'm so in love with who I am. I'm in love with my life right now. What you are saying, I know your ancestors are looking down with the biggest smile and just warmth in their heart that you get to, and that you have carved out a reality where you are saying these words. This is what we ultimately are all seeking, is this contentment you are describing and this delicious pleasure. You know, earlier you mentioned that you want to experience pleasure without guilt, and you're really giving that to yourself and showing us a different way to live. I love how you said many of the aspects of my life, people would look from the outside and they'd be like, what are you celebrating? That's one of the most powerful things that has been expressed in the universe, because those inner invisible riches of the spirit, of the soul, like that our society is never going to teach us that's what life really is about. That nourishment from within and that inner glow, we can feel it from you. It's so powerful that there's a light that's shining so brightly within you that is overflowing. And I just celebrate so deeply that you are experiencing life that way, that you are looking in the mirror and celebrating yourself. And something that came to me as you were speaking is the power of expression and the ripple effect. So someone posted that everything in my world, you know, is spiritual and romantic. And it touched something in you that you now have like co-created life with. So what a gift that it has rippled through you in such a profound way. And I love the specific idea of romanticism. What does it mean in your world to live romantically, to live with this? You've described some of the elements, but what is that to you? Because it's just so wonderful to learn from someone who's embodying it.
Yes. I think it's in the little things, you know, like just having a cup of tea in the morning and seeing it as the most beautiful thing ever. Journaling, watching a movie, going out, taking a walk, you know, just being where your feet are and existing in that moment and being like, I am here and I'm doing something, and it might look like this small thing to the next person, but I'm really enjoying it, and I'm loving it. And it doesn't have to be something that is like so big, it can just be like a simple thing. The smallest things for me are romantic. Taking a shower for me is romantic. Having my cup of tea in the morning is beautiful. Having a simple conversation with my mother or my sister or my brother, it's beautiful for me. So it's just finding the beauty in the little things, because there is so much beauty. And I think we really need that being in this fast-paced world, just need a second to just come back and kind of breathe in that moment and be like, I really like this. Because, you wouldn't be doing it if you didn't like it, So when you start really appreciating the fact that you get to have this thing that you enjoy doing, it's amazing. It turns into this big thing. I make a big thing out of everything in my life. Even those smallest things are amazing to me. And I think that's just unique to who I am, and how I choose to exist and express in the world. And yeah, it's really beautiful. I love it so much.
I love that so much. Oh, wow. It really is the little things. And you're returning us to the romance of the tiny magic of existing, the cup of tea in the morning, the miniature moments that make up our lives. Even as you were speaking, I breathed and I was like, what if I took a romantic inhale? What would that be? So it's like it's possible everywhere. And I really adore that so much, that framing that it's about the small moments. It's about these moments of intimacy that we have with our lives. Oh, it's just gorgeous listening to you express that. And it sounds like you move through your world with a lot of awe, like a lot of appreciation for every tiny moment. Obviously we all have days where that's not the case, but it sounds like you're really in touch with moving as a very grateful, in awe consciousness. Have you worked on that, or have you actually always sort of had that capacity?
No, I had to work on that. I had to work on that. Like I was saying, I was having a conversation with my partner at some point, and I was like, I realize now that I'm here and I feel like this about myself, I realized that I have been floating through life. Like I was just there, like as a side character in my own life. And it is just so, when you think about it, and I'm trying to think about the time when I was 20 or 22, I don't remember who I was. I don't remember how my days were, but I know that a couple of years going down, when I'm 35, I'm gonna know what I was doing when I was 27 or when I was 28, because I'm existing and I'm doing everything I do intentionally. And I had to work on it. So sort of ground myself and find what I love doing, how I want to exist in the world, because that's how it all started. I had to first be like, this is who I want to be. This is how I want to show up in the world. And this is something that I journaled about. I think it was in 2024, end of 2024. And when 2025 ended, I was like, I am that person now. And it's not forced. I'm not acting. I'm not performing. It's really who I am.
Wow.
So that has been so beautiful. I worked on it and I'm really happy that I did. At some point, I didn't think I was going to get here. Because like I said, it's not instant. And we want instant gratification. That's just who we are. Like, if I'm doing this, I have to see results, and when you don't see results, sometimes you can be a little discouraged. But I think when you reach a point where you feel discouraged, that's when you have to keep going. You're just there. You're at the door. Just keep going. Yeah.
Ooh, oh my word. What I'm in awe of as you're expressing this is it sounds like you were very in touch with manifesting. Often we manifest an outcome or a result, but it sounds like you were really in touch with manifesting how you want to feel energetically in your life, how you want to experience your life. And I think that takes a level of depth and a level of awareness that is not common in how we think about manifestation. It's like, oh, I want the partner, I want this, versus like, I want my life to feel like romantic.
Absolutely.
And reverence. I think that's such an incredible insight for all of us. Like, how do we want to feel? How do we want to move through the world as? I think always an incredible energy to experience and to live life through. And so the fact that you've done this work, and as you've said, you've held to the faith that this was possible for yourself, that is so divine. And that takes a lot of trust.
Yeah.
Wow. In the spiritual world, there are a lot of like limiting beliefs that we can hold, or myths we can hold about what spirituality is and isn't. So I'm so curious, based on conversations you're having or your writing or your work, what do you think are some of the limiting beliefs we can hold about spirituality?
I think the one limiting belief that came up for me when I started embodying and being this spiritual person that I am was that it has to, like, it felt like when you're looking at it, it looks like you always have to be like high vibrational. So you always have to be happy. So I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Like right now, I'm not feeling so good. How am I going to be able to hold it? And if I let go of it and I'm sad or angry, does that mean I'm not spiritual anymore? But I think spirituality is about, it's not about being invincible to your humanness, because you are human. You're going to feel your feelings. You're going to have days when you're sad, when you're happy, when you're angry, when you just feel anxious or whatever. And I think that's just like the beauty of it, experiencing it fully. When I started reading about the law of assumption, right, I was under the impression that I always have to be happy. And that if I get sad, then I'm just wavering, and then I'm not going to get what I want because I'm sad. Why am I sad? Neville Goddard said you have to feel it, but as I went through it, as I'm living my life, I realized that the feeling that you have to feel is not really happy. You can be happy about your dreams, obviously. When I'm thinking about, oh my goodness, I want this, it's going to make me feel happy, right? But when it's said that the feeling is the secret, I don't think my interpretation of it is I don't have to be happy, but I just have to feel and know that I have it already. Otherwise, I wouldn't desire it if my higher self didn't have it already, So the reason why I want it or desire it is because I can actually have it. So it doesn't matter whether I'm sad on the day, because even when I do have it, have all this that I want, I'm going to have sad days. That's just part of the ebb and flow of life, and we really can't fight it. You just have to experience it, let it flow naturally. Don't try to control anything, because now you're just swimming against the current. And I love that Alan Watts quote that says, let what happens happen. If you don't, you're swimming against the current. And if you're swimming against the current, you're not going to win. You're going to drown, So let what happens happen. And yeah, I think that's it for me.
Wow, that's so profound. It's so the surrender and trust that you write about. I'd love to go into that later on in our conversation. But what you're saying about this toxic positivity, or this idea that you need to always be high vibrational, and I'd love for you to describe in your own words, like what the law of assumption means to you, because I think a lot of people in this frequency are either have heard of Neville Goddard, but maybe haven't looked into his work, or are very familiar. So it would just be wonderful to hear from you what that means. But what I love that you've said as well is that even in this dream reality, which desires you, therefore you desire it, and your higher self, exactly, you're still going to have days where you feel all the range of emotions. And it ties so beautifully to what you said earlier, that we've come here to express. And if we've come here to express, we've also come here to experience. Absolutely. And there'd be so much music and so many movies that just never would be made if we didn't experience a full range of human emotion that we've come here to feel. So I'd love to hear the law of assumption. Like, what is that to you?
The law of assumption to me is assuming whatever it is that you want for yourself, assuming that it's already yours. Like I said, you wouldn't desire a certain thing if you didn't already have it, So for me, the law of assumption has been So that's how I got into visualization, because I believe that for anything to exist, it had to be imagination first. Whatever is created, the person that's creating it has to first visualize it, imagine how it's going to look, and then they act on it. So you don't first become the thing and then you feel the feeling of having it. You first feel it and visualize yourself having it, and then you have it. You know? So for me, the law of assumption has been whatever I assume to be true is what comes true. And we see this not just with the positive, even the negative. Whenever you think of the worst case scenario, it comes true. So whatever you assume is true to you, for you in your own life, it's going to be true. It's going to manifest as true. And so also with manifestation, I believe that we are all always manifesting. We're always creating, whether we're conscious or not conscious of the fact, but we're always creating something. And what I love with where I am right now is that I'm conscious of the fact. So I am creating the things I say, things that leave my mouth are things that I want. I don't want to pay attention to scenarios that I don't want in my life. I don't want to give it that energy because I don't want it in my life. Okay. So for me, that's the law of assumption. So just assuming that everything that I desire desires me back, and assuming that everything is working out for me, even at times, especially at times when it feels like it's not coming to me. I know that it's working for me. I don't know how, but I just know that it is working. So that all ties into letting what happens happen, you know, but just still sitting with the knowing that it's working out. Yeah, because I think sometimes we want to have control over things, and I think that's natural, you know. I think I've come to, with myself, I've accepted that getting the things that I want might not look exactly the way that I think it's supposed to look. It's gonna come to me, but maybe not in the way that I think it's supposed to come to me. So I don't want to have such a tight grip on that version of things. I want to allow the higher power to work. I want to leave space for it to work. So just saying, this is going to work out, and just breathing and being like, I'm here. It's working out. Yeah.
I love receiving you describe this law of assumption, because the way you described it is so intuitive, and it's so powerful to hear it as what I desire desires me. My highest self is like calling me forward through this desire. And to listen to you describe your relationship with surrendering control and leaving space for your higher power, for the infinite, to provide something wilder than you could have even imagined, because what we can sense with our five senses, it's just such a tiny percentage of what is possible, what is real. And I also adore what you said about how you, there's a moment. Oh, I love what you said about releasing how exactly something is supposed to come to you. I think that is so potent and powerful, and trusting that if something is it feels like it should have come or should have come by now, whatever, something higher is unfolding, and we can surrender into that and not resist that this is what we're being invited to sit with. So I receive so much from that, and that really resonates with where I think a lot of us get stuck, is that void. So how can we, in those spaces where things are not happening the way we want them to happen, or when things are not happening at the speed we think they should happen, and that control that the ego wants to do, how can we drop into that trust? How do you do that?
Again, I think it's just sitting with yourself and reminding yourself that it is coming. So what I like to do, because sometimes, you know, you want this thing and you're just like, oh my goodness, I want it now. And then so I say this because I speak to myself out loud nowadays. So I just be like, so whatever is happening right now has to happen. And so I just have to find what it is that I have to take from this for me to get to where I'm going. I don't need to rush it. I don't believe that anything that happens in our lives is just by chance. It's just happening just for the sake of happening. I believe there is something to be taken from that moment, whether it be when you're heartbroken or you're just sad or you're just feeling anxious. I think if you sit with yourself, sometimes you can find what that situation is telling you. So I think in the silence, when things aren't moving as fast as we would want them to move, you just have to be patient with yourself also, and not, because sometimes I think we are like so mean to ourselves, but like just sit with yourself and just remind yourself that, hey, it's coming, it's gonna come. And I know it sounds like I'm making it to be this simple thing, but I think that's the most important thing. Just remembering that whatever is happening right now has to happen. So just take whatever it is that you can take from the situation, and then it will propel you towards the future that you want. Because I believe we're always being propelled towards the future that we want. We're never really, like, you're never being pushed back. It's part of it. It's part of the journey. So where you're going, just know that I'm going to get there. No matter what it looks like right now, I'm going to get there. So I think it's the most important thing to just keep repeating that to yourself and just telling yourself that you're going to get there, but also appreciating where you are. Because I think we get so lost in wanting this thing that we forget that we are actually right here. So you can't be living in the future while your body is here. You have to be where your body is and experience life where you are. Because then if you're just existing in your world, daydreaming about the future or ruminating on the past, that's just an insult to the present, So you just have to find what's fulfilling for you right now, what feels good for the body, what can help ground you, what can help awaken the love for life again. When you have those conversations with yourself, pour that energy into something creative, pour that energy into a hobby or like an interest or something that you've always been curious about. Read about it, The simplest thing, that meal, that recipe that you took a screenshot of, try it out and see if it works out for you. Find the little things while you're here, because you are going to get there. But don't let your mind go all the way there and leave your body here, because now your body's just, just sitting, and you're not absorbing what it is that you have to absorb. You're not taking what is being said to you. So you're not taking these aligned actions completely, So you just have to be where your feet are and ground yourself. I think that's the most important thing.
It really connects to many moments in my life that I've had. And I appreciate you describing this importance of the present moment. And it's almost like practicing being in a state where you can enjoy now is actually what's going to allow you to enjoy that manifestation when it comes. Because if you are constantly in a state of thinking of the future and the future is going to be better and the future is going to be this, then even if you receive what you think, because we've all had moments where we really want something, we do get it. And then it's actually not, we're not in an energetic state to actually experience the beauty of that, whether it's your dream relationship or your dream job, and then you get it and you're on to the next thing. So by being present, like you said, dropping into that recipe or into what exactly would delight me, or what is available, what is life trying to give me right now, it also creates the kind of consciousness where you will just continue to experience more and more magic, because you are the type of consciousness that can hold present moment joy, present moment delight. And you really exemplified that by sharing how you feel in your life right now, where you are in awe of your life as it is, and that it's like this beautiful, intimate conversation between you and reality, that you love these aspects of your life that to the external eye, they may not see the beauty of, but you feel a deep romanticism with. So I think that's such a circle back to that. And how can we cultivate that presence, that poetry with the moment itself is so profound. And I also love how you're inviting us to trust there's a higher unfolding. Like, what if something needed to happen before you got this thing? You know, so I think sometimes we're not actually fully ready to receive what we're calling in.
Yes.
So one of the themes of your work is around desire. And I just love desire. I think it's so fun and juicy and sensual and romantic. Isn't that, it's like the essence of romance?
Yeah.
So I would love to first hear you speak about how you feel about desire, and then the two types of desire that you lay out in your writing. I found that so fascinating.
I believe that all of us have desires, right? Not to say that we are not fulfilled in the lives that we're currently leading, but because I think it's just natural. You know, there's things that we desire, but we have to be careful when it comes to desiring things, or just if you're consciously manifesting said desire, you have to make sure that it's yours and it aligns with the higher self. Because I think sometimes we manifest borrowed desires so much. And by borrowed desires, I mean, with the height of social media, you know, you're scrolling and you're seeing this person has this thing, they have that thing. And then suddenly your own life feels too small. And you're just like, maybe I should want that. Because now you're assuming what feeling they get from having said thing. You know? So you're like, I'm guessing they feel this type of way. And now I would want to feel like that. So maybe I should get that. You know? And the thing about borrowed desires is you might get it, but it's not going to resonate with you. You're not going to feel like you're not going to get the feeling that you thought you were going to get, because first of all, it's not yours. And secondly, you don't know how it made them feel, because you're just seeing it on a screen and you think it feels good to them, you know? And I think now that you've gotten this said desire, you're just like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Because I mean, I got it. You know, they had the perfect boyfriend. I got it. They had the perfect house. I have it, but I still don't feel good. I don't get that feeling that I really wanted. And it's mostly because it's not yours. And if it doesn't align with the higher self, it's just not going to align with you, you know? So I think the most important thing to do is, and I'm not saying it's wrong to be influenced into wanting things. I think that's just how life is, right? But just make sure that when you want it and you're consciously manifesting something, calling it into your life, be sure that that is exactly what you want, that's what you really want, and that you don't want the feeling that you think gives the other person. You know, so let it be something that is meaningful to you, something that's going to bring you joy. So, yeah.
You're really revealing like a hidden step, a hidden calculation we're doing, because we may think, oh, I want that partner, or I want that life. And I think what you're revealing to us is there's like an equation we are making with how that life feels. That is what we actually want.
Yes.
And in the moment, that's not intuitive at all, because you're assuming, well, if I had that, I would feel the way I imagine they feel for having it. Yes. And then instead of asking, okay, it seems like I want more excitement in my life. What could bring that to me in my authentic way?
Yes.
What you're describing about borrowed desires, this is just so critical, especially as you've just mentioned in our world where we are consuming far more about each other, about the world, about possibilities that take us out of our own energy. So have you had a moment where you've actually been pursuing something from a borrowed desire? And how did you come into your authenticity, come into your alignment to realize, I don't want that. I've been taught that to want that. You know what I mean?
I think for me that showed up, I think it was 2024. And I think that was the catalyst to me finding myself.
Wow.
So the year had just started and I was just thinking, what do I want? But like also not like thinking deeply about it. It was just like the whole, it's a new year. So you have to have something that you really want. And I remember seeing this job opportunity and I was like, oh, I think that'll be nice, you know? And it was out of the country. And I remember applying for it and just being like, I'm going to get it, you know? I applied for the job and I got it. right? Got the job, started preparing for the visa and whatnot. And during this whole time, not one moment did I sit and ask myself, is this what I really want? I just assumed this is, it's out of the country, And then I remember during the time when I was working on getting my visa and all of that, I would always hear, I don't know what it was, but I think I was listening to a podcast and someone was like, do you want it or do you want people to see you have it? And I would ignore it so fast.
Wow.
I'll just ignore it and just focus. I am leaving this country. I'm going to this other country. It's going to be so beautiful. And I'm going to post pictures and people are going to see me in that other country, and I wasn't really paying attention to like anything else. And so I'm preparing for it, I was feeling excited about it. And then time came for me to go for my visa interview. And mind you, everything had unfolded so smoothly.
Wow.
Because when I started, I remember I didn't know where I was going to get the money because there was a lot of money that was supposed to be, But then I just kept telling myself that I'm going to get it. It's not a problem. Money is just energy. I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And I did get it,
Ooh.
And then, so now it was time for my interview. And I remember when I was going to the interview, I wasn't really nervous. I'm usually I get very nervous and anxious, But on that day, I wasn't really nervous. I was just like, it's just procedure. It's just going to be 5 minutes and then I'm going to get my visa and I'm going to be out of here. So I was the first person to be interviewed for the visa. The interview didn't even last 5 minutes and I was denied the visa. I cried so much. I cried so much. And then when I got back home and now facing the reality that I had this job, and I'm supposed to start next week and I just got denied my visa right now.
Wow.
Where's my life going? What am I going to do? Because I didn't plan for my life to be here. My life is planned in this whole other country. What am I going to do? And I was in such a bad space, like a really bad space. So fast forward, I started trying to find myself and I got introduced to your podcast and that was amazing. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, hey, so are you torn up about not going to the country because you wanted to or because now you're just not going to be able to flaunt it? And I started thinking about it and I'm just like, I don't understand how I thought that job was going to be good for me because I don't like it. Like it's not something that was going to be fulfilling for me. And I just started realizing that if I had gone there, I was going to be so miserable. I wouldn't have, maybe I would have loved it, but with how I know myself right now, I don't think it would have been a good space for me. So then that's when I started realizing that wasn't really mine. It wasn't aligned with me. Maybe that's why I didn't even get it, but it wasn't my desire. I didn't want it. And this is not even me being a sore loser, but it's just like, if I'm being honest with myself, I didn't want it. I wouldn't thrive in that kind of environment. It doesn't even align with the things I'm doing now. So I'm like, yeah, I really just wanted people to see me have it. And because I've seen people travel and I wanted that feeling for myself, but I didn't really want the job. That wasn't my desire. I didn't want it.
Well, first of all of us, we thank you for your honesty because it can be difficult to name these ego-based desires. I wanted people to see me have this thing. I wanted to flaunt this thing. I wanted to post it on my stories or tell my friends. I wanted to be the person who, did you, So I really appreciate you just naming this because it really fits into the invitation of this whole conversation to shift from ego to soul, which this topic of borrowed desire really takes us there. Is this what your ego wants you to have because it will think it will make you more worthy or enough or desirable? Or is this what you deeply want such that no one could see you have it and you would still want it? Which is what you are living now, where you're like, doesn't even like, it's not about how people see it. It's about how it feels. So wow, that story. And then also the profoundness of the universe saying, that visa, we're taking it out of the equation, because once you get the visa, you're gonna say, well, now I have the visa, so I'm going, and you're gonna fall more and more into an inauthentic life when there's so much richness we want to give to you through your deepest desires. So, I'm like just getting so excited listening to you express this, because there are these moments where like logically we should want that job in that country. Logically we should, but emotionally and spiritually that's not in alignment.
Exactly.
So I just celebrate that you alchemized that moment of the crumble, the despair, the disappointment of everything falling apart was your phoenix rising from the ashes.
Absolutely.
Was your rebirth. Oh, wow. And I'm so grateful that the Soul Salon played a tiny role in that unfolding. That's such a gift. Wow. Okay, so you go through this moment, you reconnect with your authentic desire. So can you talk to us more about, okay, how will we know that, no, this is what I want? This is not what I have been taught to want. This is not what I want to be seen wanting. This is my authentic, not borrowed desire.
I think it's what you just mentioned about, if I had this thing and people didn't know or people were not able to see that I have this thing, would it still feel fulfilling to me? You know? And I think that's the most important question that you should ask yourself. And I'm not sure if we ask ourselves questions enough. I think we really disregard ourselves so much. And I think if we took the time to really sit down with ourselves and just ask yourself, is this what I want? The feeling that I want to have about my life, like what does success look like to me? Is this going to give me that feeling outside of it looking so shiny on the outside and everyone seeing me and being like, oh my goodness, she's living that life. Is that what really resonates with me? You know, so I think the most important thing is sitting yourself down and really asking the questions. Do I really want this? Or I see someone else have it and I think that the feeling that I crave is going to come from getting that thing because I assume that's the feeling that they have, having the thing. So really just sitting with yourself and trying to find out if I had this thing and no one was able to see this thing, is it still going to feel good to me? And if the answer is yes, then that's where you're going. But if it's no, now you just have to find the feeling that you crave. Where else can you get it? Because I think it's really important to live your life the way that you think is fulfilling for you. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. And when everyone else has gone home and you're alone, it's just you. Does that feel good for you? Does that set your soul on fire when you go to bed? Do you smile and be like, oh, this is what I want. This is the feeling that I've been craving, you know, and that's really important more than what people say or how people view you. The most important thing is how you see yourself. Yeah.
Thank you for that reminder for all of us to ask questions. You mentioned that in your story. You said, I didn't even ask myself. I didn't take the time to say, is this what I actually want? And when you did receive a little insight from this post you saw, this message you saw on a podcast, you were like, no, I don't want to look there. And we've all been there. That was also such a relatable moment where the universe is sending you signs, is sending you messages, is sending you teachers to show you the uncomfortable truth. And you're like, nope.
It's like, I'm blind to that. I'm sorry.
What? That's so rude of you. How dare you try to ruin this for me when actually it's trying to bring you into a higher alignment.
Yes.
Something that came through to me on a personal level as you were describing this idea of borrowed and authentic desire is this moment here. You know, I had this deep desire to be in conversation with wise people who I can learn from and who people in the audience can receive. And I've always had a dream of being like in a studio, having beautiful conversations with people who are just such a gift to the collective consciousness. But then I was also pursuing this, this in like sort of dream of sharing my gifts by myself, which I also enjoy. I love it. I love speaking. But I knew there was something that would light my soul on fire about this type of, setting. And it's not always either or. Sometimes it's an integration of both, which is true for me. But like, that was such a moment of like, I could have just pursued that forever. And it would have, from the outside, it would have looked like, oh, this is growing. This is this. But like, there was something my soul desired that wasn't being fed by purely pursuing that. So that's what comes to me when I think of moments where I've pursued something that like from the outside could look like, oh, this is your, this looks good, or this could look good to certain people. But like for my spirit, it's like, no, I'd rather no one knows that we had this conversation, but we get to have it than not have it at all. So that just came through to me. Something that you share in your work is the connection between desire and comparison. And you've taken us there. A lot of us suffer from comparing ourselves to other people, not feeling good enough. Maybe someone having something that is giving them the feeling that we don't know how to access any other way.
Yes.
And we're just like, no, but that's what I need to have this feeling. And I want what they have. And it just makes me feel so ashamed and not good enough. Like they're so much better than me, And there can be these really self-punishing beliefs and stories and voices. Like you said, we can be so harsh on ourselves. So in those moments of like deep comparison to someone online or offline, how do we walk ourselves through those moments? How do you sit with yourself in those moments, and what can we learn about our desire through those moments?
I think one of the things that really helped me when it came to comparison was realizing that our stories are all different. And the life I want is unique to me, but also the experiences I've had growing up are also unique to me. We are not the same, in as much as we are connected, but we are not the same person. So my journey is not going to look like your journey. It's not going to look like the other person's journey. It's not going to happen. So why then would I want to compare things that are not the same? We don't have the same kinds of opportunities. We are not exposed to the same resources, right? So when you start thinking like that and realizing that it's really unfair to yourself, you're being unfair to yourself when you're comparing yourself to the other people. I know it's not fun to be at this age and see how the people your age are living their lives, and you just hear and you're like, what am I doing wrong? But the truth is you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. This is just your own path. And I know that it's sometimes it makes you feel sad. It makes you feel like you're so left out. You even get depressed sometimes, just thinking about it. But the truth is we're not the same. And I don't want to say that, oh, there's this magical thing that you can do for you to stop comparing yourself to other people. I don't think I have that for anyone, but I would just like to say the way that I helped myself get out of that was realizing and telling myself that I am different. The next person is different. So our stories are not going to look the same. We are on different lanes. So I'm not going to compare myself to this other person that has everything and then see myself as less than, because I'm not that, and that it's going to work out for me. And it's going to work out for me regardless, but at its own time. So I just have to be here right now and do what makes me happy without looking at the other person. And I understand that sometimes it can be hard because, there's social media and you're still going to see the people that are like successful, and then you're going to feel like you're so behind. But then again, you have to remind yourself that maybe that's just not you. Your kind of success looks differently. Because if you sit down with yourself and ask yourself, what does success look like to me? The answer that you're going to get if you're sitting with yourself honestly is it's going to be way different than you think it is right now. Because I think when you're thinking about success, you're likening it to somebody else's, and you want it to look the same. But I don't think it's going to be the same for you. And you have to understand that. Not that it's going to be less than, but it's going to look different. So you have to accept the difference. But also, the most important thing is not thinking of yourself as less than, because you're not that. And there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your journey.
It is so nurturing to the spirit to be reminded that. Again, you are remembering us, putting us back together into this unworthiness that we feel, and the worthiness to have a path that is incomparable that you're describing, and that we really all are set up to have very different purpose, desire. As you said, also, there's so many different aspects of us, and we are in many ways like so incomparable, but it's difficult in a world structured, like you mentioned, to really internalize and receive that. And so I really connect to this understanding that it's not to say we're going to, never feel comparison, but again, to that point of expression, I always like to think, okay, if I'm feeling this pain, something wants to be expressed through it that can hopefully resonate with someone else. And I do think that with comparison and envy and jealousy, it can feel really isolating in the moment to hold those emotions, and shameful, especially if you identify as a spiritual person, or you want to feel happy for people and you want to be like, oh my word, that's incredible, you're engaged. But like part of you is like, I'm jealous.
Why not me?
Right. Why not me? Right. And something that came through, connecting to what you said earlier, you said this powerful thing that everything begins in imagination. And so like, if it exists, it must first exist in imagination. And I would also encourage all of us who are visionary, soul-led creators, artists, makers, and change makers, like, can we envision a world where people do not compare themselves to other people out of feeling not good enough? That would be a world where everyone feels like they are loved and they are loved. That's like a version of heaven on earth. And if that world exists, we must have imagined it first, to your earlier point. So can we hold that just as a possibility, that there's a world where our children's children, or children of the earth, don't feel unworthy, and therefore don't feel like, oh, if I had what they had, if I was in the relationship he was in, if I looked like she did, then I would be good enough. And it's like, it's such a social failure,
Yeah.
It's a tragedy, but also an invitation to dance with life. Something I do want to touch on, is that spirituality is also so connected to like culture and ancestry. And so what is your connection to how you weave those pieces together, how you honor your ancestors while also, I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on sort of ancestral healing, ancestral ways of thinking about spirituality, languages you speak, like culture, identity, like the way that these all weave together for you.
Yes. I think for me, because I am a person, I acknowledge my ancestors, right? And for me, when I started this journey, at first I thought, I don't know where I got the idea, but I just thought I was at their mercy, like, and then I remember, I don't know if I was listening to a podcast or if I read about it, and then this person was saying that you have to allow yourself to be in a place where you are co-creating with your ancestors and be with them, allow yourself to sit with them and hear what it is, what message that you're getting, because not always are you being given instructions, do this, do that, do that. But sometimes it can just be a conversation. But obviously I don't want to get deep into that because I'm not really well versed when it comes to that. I just know what I do and what feels good for me, which might not be how other people do it. But for me is understanding that I don't have to allow myself to suffer and then be like, oh, I think my ancestors are punishing me or whatever. I just want to be in a place where I sit and hear what it is that is being said to me. What am I getting from the situation? How do what am I learning from it? What am I taking from this situation? And allowing them to speak and hearing whatever it is that is being said. And the most interesting thing about that is when I started doing it, I was always wondering how Like when a person is like, oh, spirit is saying this to me. I was like, how does that work? Like, are you hearing a voice outside of you telling you these things? Like, and then until I experienced it this one time, and it comes as a thought, but then you have to ask yourself, why would I think that? And then it becomes this thing where I'm like, oh, I actually have to listen to that voice and hear what that voice is saying to me. And so I think it could be that most of us actually do have the ability to hear spirits speak to us, or like ancestors talk to us. And that would come if you sit with yourself and just ask a simple question. Just ask, how am I feeling today? And just sit and sit and listen for the answer. And the answer always comes as a thought. I'm not sure if everyone receives it as a thought or they hear like an outside voice, but for me, it comes as a thought, And so that's just how it has been with me. Also, like in dreams, I can have the conversation and it just feels like I'm just speaking to myself, but then you start getting the answers in your dreams and it's really exciting for me. I really love it. I remember I was telling my little brother this one time after I was done meditating. I was meditating on something and I was like to him, hey, so I just did this thing. He's 12, right? So I'm like, I just did this thing. I was meditating and then I was asking myself questions. Like I needed an answer on something. I wanted to test it out. And then I got an answer. And then he was like, oh my goodness, that would freak me out. Then I was like, really? And then I was like, yes. I was like, but it just felt so amazing.
Ooh.
It felt so good to ask a question and get an answer. It was very nice. And then I was like, oh, I should try that. I was watching, I love him so much. I was watching the Zoom call that we had, the Soul.
Oh, yes.
He was like, I want to watch it with you. We watched it together because I think it was like 2 hours.
Yes.
So after it was done, I was like, do you believe that we're sitting on the call for 2 hours? It's like, it didn't feel like 2 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Even the meditation that you, the guided meditation that you gave to us, I was so deep in my meditation, right? So when I was done, I couldn't see him next to me. And then he comes, he's like, is it done? I'm like, yes. Did you run away? He's like, no, I was doing it.
Oh my goodness.
I was doing it. And it felt so good. I was like, oh, that's so nice.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I love how interested he is in these things. It makes me so happy because even when because like I mentioned, he's 12. And when you see a 12-year-old, sometimes you might think that he might not understand that. But so I just kind of opened myself up to like having these conversations with him. And then he like genuinely gets into it. Wow. And I got him into the law of assumption also. Oh. And then I remember his phone had stopped working. I had told him that instead of fixing the phone, get dad to get you a new phone. He was like, no, but I want to fix this one because I like this one. So I was like, okay, cool. Whenever you go to bed, just imagine yourself, the feeling that you'd get if dad were to be like, hey, here's the money, go fix your phone. Just keep like feeling it, So I had forgotten that I even said that to him. And then the day dad sent the money, he was like, oh, do you know that thing works? I'm like, what thing? He's like, that thing that you told me to do when I go to bed, I've been doing it. I was like, oh, really?
Oh my goodness. He's 12.
He's 12. Oh. And I was like, oh my goodness, that is so, so beautiful. I love that. Yeah, so that's how it is.
Oh my word, that's the most precious thing I've ever heard.
It is.
He is so, I think we are all feeling into this. He is so lucky to have you. You're also so lucky to have him. Yes. But he's so lucky to have a guide so young. Like, imagine how this is just going to influence his entire life and how he sees the world. Like, no matter what belief system he ends up, weaving together for himself, the fact that he has someone nourishingly inviting him to see the world this way, to manifest, to assume. He's so lucky. And obviously all of us listening to you were like, oh my word, he's the luckiest 12-year-old ever to be able to just be in your presence and receive how life gets to feel through the way you frame it. It's such a gift. And then also my inner child is feeling so like, when you said that you listened to watch the Soul Vision portal together and like just the thought of that is so like magical to my spirit. So that's incredible. I'm so just in awe of that. And then also how you described your ancestral connection. And I love what you said, like, we don't need to be expert. It's about what you have found within you. We are all learning from like your embodied wisdom and what you said about co-creation.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be this punishing voice. And I think also we have to be wary as just like people who are interested in freedom, as Black women, as like all these things, that there can be all these forms of understanding spirituality that are about control and authority.
Yeah.
And how can we unlearn, like, we're not here for someone to have power over us, but power with us. And that's really what you described as like a conversation, guidance, but not strict direction. You know, it's like, okay, this is what's coming through. And I love how you described it channels through you as a thought, and the openness that for some people, it could be a melody. It could be their hand just starts writing, you know, like we're all channels in the way that we are here to channel.
Yes.
And I really adore the way that you put these ideas and thoughts together. And it's just a gift to hear. And I am curious, like, is there any specific connection to you between how you experience spirit, your soul, and like the different languages you speak? Because I'm always fascinated by if that channels through in different ways.
I don't think for me it's like that, because I mean, I do know how to speak Setswana, but my ancestors were not Tswana. But I think the beauty of it is, I don't know, like I don't know how to put words to it. I don't know if I can even put words to it, but I think it's so amazing how I think just the communication of it transcends language, you know, because I think I can decide to speak to them in English and still feel like I am having a conversation with them, and they're understanding me. But like when you go back to it, it's just like, I don't think my ancestors, like as old as they are, I don't think they knew how to speak English, you know? So I don't know what the word for that is, but I just think it's so beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, I do also, when I'm pahlaring, I do pahla in isiNdebele and speak to them, but also sometimes I do have conversations in English and still don't feel like I'm disconnected to them, you know? So I think it's really beautiful how that happens.
That is very, very healing and very beautiful, that it does transcend language and communication. It's like communion. It's about a certain connection that no language could ever take away from you, and could never change the deeper integrity of the fact that they are you and you are them, you know, like you descend from them. And whatever language you are speaking, it's like, yes, it's energy and it's a message, and they have access, I assume, into like an infinite realm of possibility, and they're channeling through it in English. And then for anyone who is listening who doesn't know what pahlaring is, could you describe what that is for us if you feel called?
To me, so I think also because things mean different things to us, you know.
Totally.
For me, upahla is more so like praying, but also not praying in a way where I'm just saying. It feels like I'm having this conversation with them. So I can have a conversation with them anyway, with or without a candle. Some people do it with the candle. You know, I can have my candle on and say, yeah, Pasha, but there's other people that can also do it. That do it differently. So for me, I think I'd just say, Pasha for me is like prayer, but also like having a conversation with my ancestors and spirit.
It's so beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And it's sort of bringing me back to where we started about limiting beliefs that we can have about ourselves and about each other, and these fears of being seen. So I will share that I have been living overseas for quite some time now. And one of my like original shames is like I didn't grow up speaking my own languages. So I'm Zulu and Oshivambo, so half Namibian, half South African. And my mom is South African and Zulu, but we didn't grow up speaking it. And so there's like this cultural loss that I've always felt, but then the shame around reclaiming it, because when you speak Zulu imperfectly, Zulu people make fun of you. And I didn't have the thick enough skin to just be like, that's okay, I'm learning. I just stopped. I was like, oh, if I'm going to be made fun of, I'm just not going to speak it. Colonialism and cultural loss of the spirit and all of these things. And you feel this disconnection from something you know is your own. And one of the limiting beliefs that I had, because I'm moving to London, is I was like, oh, then when I'm in London, I'll continue the podcast. And then I was like, but there are so many incredible, your own people. Why are you? But I realized I had a belief that this childhood shame is going to come up where I'm going to interview people and they're going to focus on the fact that I can't speak my own language.
Oh.
And I had all of these like stories about what it was going to feel like and how I was going to be judged and shamed. And it's like, that's clear that this is the most beautiful, divine conversation.
Yeah.
And so it's another example of I could have let that limiting belief, that projection of the fear of being seen, I could have let it just be like, oh, well, then I'm not good enough to do this. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
But it's about like how we get to create through these fears and be in conversation with our ancestors, even if it's in English, and hold that we are inherently worthy of conversing and using the resources we have accessible to us. So for some reason, it just came through to me that I needed to share that.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate like learning from you and learning all these different threads of your wisdom. So I appreciate you explaining what it means to phahla ukuphahla, but also it just came to me to share. So I appreciate the safety that you create in your energy for me to share that.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Wow. Okay, so as we continue this conversation, we are tapping into these different beautiful threads of connection to the infinite, connection to ancestors, connection to all the things. One of the deepest ways that we relate, that I think is maybe one of the myths of spirituality, is I think our relationships are where our spirituality really is put into practice and where the shadows leap out and where all our work actually is often its relationship to self and its relationship to others. And so I'm so curious, you write a lot about like people pleasing and self-abandonment and the ways that we can be in deeper authenticity and integrity with ourselves in relationship. And you mentioned you are in partnership. So I'm just so curious to learn, like, what have you learned through just being in intimate relationship with people?
I don't know if it's a song that says you have to be out of the frame to see the picture. Now that I'm not people pleasing so much as I used to, I look at it, I'm like, I really was abandoning myself. Because the thing with people pleasing is you're putting everyone else on a pedestal and then you're not even coming second at this point. You're just like all the way there. And it comes out with maybe like doing simple things for yourself. Maybe you have like a gym session at 6 a.m. But then you kind of delay it and just like, oh, it's fine, I can skip it today. If it's something that resonates with you, right? But then if someone was to say, hey, I need to see you at this time, you'd make it a point that you're there for them just so they're comfortable, you know? But then it's really hard for you to do it for yourself. You find it hard to spoil yourself. You feel so much guilt when you're spoiling yourself because you just think it's not that important, you know? Small things like buying yourself flowers or putting your feelings first before anybody else, and just being there for yourself. We think it's like this simple thing, but it's really, you're teaching yourself that you don't care about yourself. And I think it's important to cultivate a good relationship with yourself because that is the longest relationship you're ever gonna have. It's you, like, until the end, so that relationship has to be beautiful. And when you treat yourself and you abandon yourself so much, you teach people how to treat you. And you're not even doing this consciously, but they pick up on it, but like also they're not picking up on it consciously. They're not like, oh, she doesn't love herself, so I'm not going to love her. No. It just happens naturally. And I think that goes back to when you're experiencing something, it's important for you to sit down and ask yourself, what is this situation showing me about myself and the relationship that I have with myself? What is this relationship that I'm in right now? If it doesn't feel good, what is it saying to me? Where should I focus on? Where, like, if I'm in this self-love journey, where is my attention supposed to go? Like, and I'm not saying this to say there's always something that you have to fix with yourself. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with you, right? You're just remembering who you are, who you like authentically are, and how you're supposed to like show up in the world. Well, not supposed to, but like, what feels good for you. And so with self-abandonment, what happens is then the universe, because you know the law of attraction, you attract what you have more of. So if you're abandoning yourself, guess what you're attracting, you know? It's always going to be friends that flake on you, partners that abandon you, they leave you and stuff like that, you know? And so you have to kind of repair that relationship with yourself and be there for yourself, especially in times when you really need to be there for yourself. And I'm not sure if we really know how to be there for ourselves, you know, because I mean, we're different. So the way that I show up for myself might be different to how you show up for yourself. But at the end of the day, as long as it is you showing up for yourself, once you start actively doing that, you will see a shift in the kind of people that you attract. You see this, it's going to be, you're going to wake up to it and you'll be like, huh, that's weird. And also the thing is, once you start changing those things and changing your self-concept and being like, okay, I'm a person that is deserving of a love that feels good to me because I give it to myself first. I praise myself first. I praise myself more than I criticize myself. And then you start getting, you know, like you just start attracting people that make you feel how you make yourself feel, and it's in a good way, right? But then also the other thing that we have to remember is that it's going to be something that is new to you, to your body, to your nervous system. So it's going to feel so foreign and you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it and it's going to be so uncomfortable and you're going to feel like something is wrong because it's so new. Our bodies prefer familiar chaos over unfamiliar safety. So if something is new, it's danger. And so what you have to do with that is just remind yourself that I am safe here, and kind of find what resonates with your soul to ground yourself and kind of teach yourself, your body, your nervous system, and convince them that it's safe to be here. I know it's new, but this is good. And the more you do that, the more it feels safer with time. There's going to be times where, you know, it creeps up, the old frequency creeps up. But as long as you know that and you believe that it is safe to be here, then it's going to be so. It's going to be safe. But I think the main point is to really just be patient with yourself, especially when you're coming out of people pleasing and wanting to be more there for yourself and not really, what's the word? Kind of put other people on a pedestal and say, okay, I'm going up there, you know? And this is not saying that you now are treating people badly. No, you're just loving yourself more. And when you get there, you just have to be patient with yourself because it's new. So it's going to feel like you're doing something wrong. I remember when I was coming out of it and I had to say my first no, because sometimes I say yes to things and I'm just like, I don't even want to be there. But I've already said yes, you know? And then the first time I said no, it was weird. It felt so unsafe. I was shaking. I was like, oh my goodness, should I just go back and say, no, it's fine. I'll make it. And I had to pull myself and be like, no, sit through it. Sit with it. It's discomfort, but sit with it. And the more you do that, the more familiar it becomes, and it's easier for you to not give energy to things that don't align with you and be able to say no and be okay with it. Be okay with the people that are around you not being okay with your no. Because if it feels good for me and I'm saying no, the no feels good to me, I don't think it's my responsibility to save you from that feeling that you're getting, because it's new to you that I'm saying no to this thing, but you are going to have to get used to it because I'm also doing the same. So we try to save people from that, but allow them to sit with it and help them respect the boundaries. Because if you're creating a boundary, it has to be there, like it has to sit there, and don't try to make it easier for other people, you know, because now you are going back to self-abandoning, you know. So even when it feels uncomfortable, try to sit with the discomfort, because what comes after the discomfort is very beautiful. And you're creating so much trust. You're trusting yourself more now. Even the decisions you're making, it's just like, oh, yeah, that feels good, you know? So, yeah, I think the most important thing is to just sit with the discomfort when it first comes up. And as time goes by, it's going to be a little easier. Yeah.
There's something so beautiful about staying in touch with what is on the other side of the discomfort and keeping your energy focused on that. That is really helpful, because in the moment, the boundary setting, the saying no does feel so uncomfortable. And I deeply appreciate how you frame that unfamiliar heaven. It's like the familiar chaos over the unfamiliar heaven, or, beautiful place.
Yes.
And sitting with that discomfort is something that we really grow through and become different versions of ourselves. What you said about the law of attraction, and how as we start to have higher standards for how we are treated, for how we move through the world, that then is reflected back to us. It's so real, and it happens quite like the shifts are profound. And some of us will have to have some time on our own as we sit in that void where the universe finds aligned, friends and partners to meet us at that level. But it is worth it to hold that vision of how we get to be treated and how we get to treat ourselves. So it's so important that we don't self-abandon and move into this idea of self-honoring. Yes. I'm so curious though, because I think a lot of the advice on boundaries, it's so beautiful and brilliant. And also it comes from people who are in more like individualistic cultures and don't have as many like family obligations or expectations, or just like cultural, just ways of moving through the world. Yeah. So for people who are trying to reconcile, like, yes, I need to set boundaries. I need to honor what's true for me. And also I am in community. I do want to be of service to the people I love, just not in a way that depletes me. So how do we really hold that line? Because it's really difficult. There's so many expectations placed in the family structure that can be actually very, it's not boundaries, it's the opposite. Yes. So how do we hold that conversation?
I think the important thing is actually, first of all, the conversation has to be had. Because if you don't have the conversation, it builds so much resentment. And it's going to be so explosive when it comes out. So I think the most important thing is to just have the conversation and kind of say how it makes you feel and how you would want things to be done, and kind of come to an understanding. And I know that I'm saying this like it's this simple thing, but knowing, well, at least for my family, we're not, okay, when I was growing up, our family was like we don't speak about feelings, it didn't look like something that was important, you just like brush over it and move on. Even no matter how sad something makes you feel like you can't really say it, But I've come to learn that at some point you just have to have a conversation and say, hey, so this is how I can show up, right? And still be able to show up for myself. Because if I show up 90% here and only show up 10% for myself, what good am I if I'm losing my mind? It's not going to help anybody. So I would like to show up in this way and do this, but also acknowledging the fact that, okay, you guys are there also, but like also be able to like create, like you said, like a boundary. I'm not sure how to really like explain it. I don't know if it would be my place to do it, because I'm also still trying to navigate that, especially when it comes to family. But yeah, it's a conversation that I would want to have with my mom, like just have it more openly and just say, okay, we just like say our feelings and stuff, But I think one of the things that I like is that I've opened, and this wasn't intentionally, but I think I'd like to believe that I've created a safe space for my siblings to be able to tell me when something doesn't feel good for them. And I didn't do this because I was like, oh, I'm teaching them this. It was just how I wanted things to be. So with my little brother, I would like sometimes obviously something happens and then I'll shout, But then when the dust settles, I'm able to say, hey, I'm sorry that I shouted, because it doesn't feel good after I've done it, And I can see that it doesn't feel good to him too, like, in as much as maybe what he did was wrong. But I'm able to go back and be like, hey, I know I shouted earlier, but I'm sorry. It's just that the situation was frustrating me. I said, things must be done this way, and then you did it this way, And then he's able to like also apologize, And I realized that it has made him more free, because when I do something, he'd be like, oh, but you don't have to shout. And then obviously that would make me a little, angry, but I'm just like, oh, okay, no, I get it. I really don't have to shout. I can speak nicely, Whereas when I was growing up, if you had to say that to someone older than you, then it's just disrespect, because why are you telling me that I'm not supposed to shout at you? So I think that I would like to have that conversation more and more with my family, trying to build those boundaries and really speaking about the importance of boundaries, because I think boundaries are so important. They're very, very important. I'm not sure how our boundaries are set up as Africans. I don't know if I should say that, but like, just how we are. I don't know if we were taught about boundaries. I don't think so. I remember this one time, I think I don't know what I was watching, but then I was like seeing like it was like a family get together or something like that. And then one of the adults wanted to give the child a hug, just like and the child was just like, no. And then it was seen as like this bad thing. But I'm like, that's how we teach our kids that boundaries don't matter. If a child creates a boundary and says, I don't like this, and then you do it regardless, then you're just teaching them that that's not important at all, So I think it's really important to talk more about that.
I really appreciate how you guided us through that, and then also the humility of saying, like, I'm still figuring this out myself. I recognize there are conversations that need to be had and that I am seeking to have, but I'm still finding my way. And I think we are all trying to find our way through, this understanding, because I think a lot of people watching this, listening to this, are cycle breakers, or they are planting new seeds in their lineage. They are like you are doing. I think something I'm receiving from the way you relate to your siblings, which is so beautiful, because so many children who are now adults have never experienced an adult apologizing to them, because I'm the adult. Why would I?
Why am I apologizing?
Exactly. And what it's reminding me is that like a family is like a superstructure, and we just get to find a little pocket where we can be, healers, or we can be received in the way that allows those gifts to be honored, and try elsewhere, but also like, really understand where can I tend to in this big ecosystem, where could I plant seeds that will actually, because you are completely healing or helping and nurturing how your siblings will experience their entire life, all their relationships, their standards, their families. And so that's such a gift. And I know that when we do this work, it does help the entire lineage heal. And also, I also honor that there's so many gifts that we also are receiving and integrating from our lineage. So it's not just, I think it's important to talk about the trauma, but it's also important to talk about the gifts, that we're inheriting from these people in our family. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
One of the topics we haven't covered before our closing ritual is your relationship with rediscovering your creative voice and the resources and tools that you use to be able to express yourself fully. So I'm so curious. I think you mentioned a few of them, journaling, and I'm just wondering, for anyone who is on that journey, they're sort of where you were in that 2022, what was it?
2024,
2024 moment where you didn't get the visa and you are now going through your breakthrough experience, which I'm sure at the time you're holding a lot. What are some of the resources or tools or places or books that really supported you in that moment?
I think journaling is still at the top. It really, really helps to get the thoughts out, the feelings out. When you don't, I believe so much in not keeping things in, because I think they're just gonna come out in bad ways.
Exactly.
Yeah. I really love journaling. I enjoy it. I feel good when I'm journaling. It feels really good. So journaling, praying. I also got into EFT tapping when I was trying regulating my nervous system. I started buying coloring books and getting acrylic paints and just painting whatever comes. And like I said, it doesn't have to make sense. I don't think it would make sense to another person, like the things that I paint, but it feels good for me. And it kind of brings me back, to myself. So I think it's just finding because I don't think that everyone would like to journal, because we're different. There's some people don't like writing. So I think for me, journaling was like the big one, getting into painting, going out more, but to spaces that feel good to me, getting new hobbies, pursuing interests, things that you think about and you're just like, oh, what would happen if I read more into this? What would come out of it? And I find that that's usually just like me taking aligned action because it always leads me to something else that I needed, and it's really beautiful how the whole thing is set up. And I absolutely, absolutely love it. So I'd say that you just need to find, because with the height of social media, there's a lot of things that you're gonna find. There's a lot of people that will tell you, you can try this, you can try that. So when you get to that space, I think you just take, even from me, you take what resonates with you, what you think you can do. I'm not saying journaling is gonna save your life, but I'm just saying, try it. And then if it doesn't help, it's okay. You can always try the next thing, because I think there's like a lot. There's a lot that we can do. So yeah, that for me, and also like doing breathing exercises. I love that. It always brings me back, just like a good deep breath. It always, always helps me out. So I really, really love that.
Invitation for all of us to do that now, taking a deep breath. It really is so powerful. Oh, I love all of those. I just love imagining you painting acrylic, writing, journaling, and I love the invitation to find and experiment with what resonates with your soul, what sets your soul on fire. My heart opened completely when you said, what would happen if some of the most incredible moments of my life have come from that. Like, what would happen if I tried improv? I really enjoyed trying that. Just like these interests you have, that part of you is like, no, am I going to do that? I'm not going to do that. And you're like, I'm going to do it. So yes, the aligned action and letting your inner child guide you. What did she love to do? They love to do.
Yeah.
What did he love doing that you've lost touch with? Something I used to love doing is writing fiction stories. Now all my writing is like nonfiction. I'm like, I really want to reclaim that play of like, discovery and imagination. So it's such a gift. And then you mentioned sort of these activities. Are there any books or resources? It seems like you read a lot. You're very into Alan Watts and Neville Goddard and all these deep spiritual thinkers. So just curious if people have enjoyed this conversation, are there any resources you recommend for them?
I think you could try The Artist's Way, but read it with an open mind. I think that's what I like to do with when I'm reading something, because I think sometimes we judge so much. So I think if you're in a space where you're judging, you're not going to take a lot.
Yes.
So like just open yourself up to it and read it with an open mind. I've been enjoying doing the artist date. So it helps me be more intentional and spend time with myself and see what I like, what I don't like, whether I like that color or things like that. So definitely The Artist's Way. I started Atomic Habits, but I haven't finished it yet. But I think where I am with it, I really got the message that I was supposed to get from it. It's just like the 1% that you can do, 1% progress in your life. It's going to take you far. So I love Atomic Habits, and I finished The Alchemist. Enjoyed it.
Oh,
I loved it.
delicious.
I think there's so many other books that are not really coming to me right now, but
that's very helpful.
Yeah.
I love that. that's just helpful to, even because I mean we can only, I think having 3 is perfect. It's like
I think
with an open mind.
I think that's really important. It doesn't have to be like tons and tons of books. Even one, it's fine.
And even rereading, that's something I really believe in with what you said earlier, that repetition is powerful. If you connect with a work and it feels like something, I believe we have soul contracts with art, and so if something is resonating with you, it could just be that, you know, it used to be wisdom was knowing the same text. It wasn't reading thousands of them. So I think sometimes it's also the invitation, like, oh, what could I reread? What could I reconnect with, re-listen to? And so I love doing that. Atomic Habits, there's a lot of overhyped books. That is a book that has changed me. I read that a few years ago and completely changed the way I approach my life. So I agree, the 1%. There's so many nuggets of wisdom that can really help. So I love this. It's been such a gift. Before we go to our closing ritual, is there anything that you wish I asked, or that, like you mentioned, that you wish we went deeper into or didn't feel fully heard or tapped into?
I think with the message that I'm hoping that the listener is going to get from this is, I just would like to say that with how sometimes you get the message that for you to manifest, you have to have like a regulated nervous system. I don't think that's entirely true. So I don't want that to be something that holds you back and you're like, oh no, I'm going to start consciously manifesting once my nervous system is regulated. No, you just go through it. Just go with the flow. But you can absolutely benefit from having a regulated nervous system, because I think you make sound decisions when you're more regulated, even the conversations that you have with people. Also, the other thing that I like to do is when something triggers me, I don't immediately communicate it, especially even if it's like with my siblings or my partner or my mom. I kind of want to first sit with it and not communicate from this place that I'm in right now, because I feel like sometimes I might end up saying things that I can't really take back, you know? So I think it's really important. We could all really benefit from a regulated nervous system. But don't say, oh, because my nervous system is not regulated, then that means that I'm not going to get what I want. I think there's so many people that have manifested big things without regulating.
Depths.
You understand? But I think the most beautiful thing about having a regulated nervous system is that when you do get this thing that you're actively manifesting, you're able to hold it without feeling like it's this dangerous thing, and then in turn ending up sabotaging and then losing it. You know, you have to really tell yourself, sit with yourself and be like, you know, when I do get all these things, all these big things that I'm praying for, I am going to be deserving of them, so I don't have to run away from them. Because I think sometimes when we get these big things, we say we want these big things, and then the big things come, and then your body's just like, well, no, that's not going to work for me, you know?
Totally.
And the other thing that I actually would love to share was when I was doing this whole thing, I realized that I had this limiting belief. I don't know if I should say limiting belief, but I'm not sure what it is. I would feel so uncomfortable with having large amounts of money in my account, because I'd never had that. So like every time I'd get a large amount of money, I'm just like, my body's just like, get it out of here, you know, because I would feel so safe when there's like little money in my account, because that's what I was used to. So when it starts being a lot, you're just like, no, I don't feel good. So you start buying things that you don't even need. Because, I mean, it's good to spend money. You know, money is an energy that loves going, flowing, circulating. Allow it to do that and it will always come back to you. But I realized that it was I was scared, you know, and my body was not used to it. So I had to be like, hey, it is safe for things to work out for me. It is safe for things, and stability or having things happen for me the way that they're happening doesn't mean I'll lose it. It just means I'm aligned with it, because I used to have this thing where if I get something, I'm already seeing myself lose it. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen when I lose it? But I'm like, who said I'm going to lose it? You know?
Manifesting losing it.
You understand? Exactly. And then it's going to come true, because I'm assuming that I'm going to lose it. So what's going to happen? You're just going to lose it. So I think it's really important to pay attention to those little things and like kind of see where they're coming from. And then you realize that it's all just coming from limiting beliefs that are not even yours. So now you just have to kind of, I don't think because I think sometimes we're like so ready to like get rid, like remove. I want to remove this limiting belief, but just replace it with something. And the more you replace it with something, now this thing is not coming up as much as it used to, because now you believe that you do deserve to have this. You do deserve to hold this amount. You do deserve to have a caring partner. You do deserve to have a family that supports you in everything that you do. And the more you do that, I think that's the more you actually get in touch with your soul and what you're really here to do.
Wow. There was so much potency, so much wisdom and insight. That description, thank you for sharing that vulnerably around your nervous system feeling activated by the fact that there was an abundance that you had been more attuned to the scarcity of. Like you said, the unfamiliar, the chaos, the familiar chaos over that. It's such a great, it all ties back also to your self-concept invitations around what is a limiting belief. Okay, the expansive belief is it is safe to hold large amounts of money. Money loves me, whatever you need to believe. And then the repetition that you brought us into before, because I'm sure so many people can resonate with that. And it links to the lottery and how people just spend it all because their nervous system or their whole experience hasn't expanded to hold.
Yes.
It's just one thing to receive. And it's like sabotaging an amazing relationship. Oh, they treat me so well. Let me cause chaos. Where's the drama?
Exactly. And I think, I think with that, it's not even, you're not even conscious of the fact that you're sabotaging it. You just like, and you're not, you don't really realize that the reason why you're acting like that is because you're not used to this thing.
Exactly.
You know, that's why you start picking fights.
Yes.
Because your body is just like, as soon as we can get back to normal setting, we're going to be fine. So pick a fight. If we break up, it's fine. I used to have this thing where like, when I'm in a relationship, if we fight, have an argument, I wouldn't even want to get into the argument. I'd be like, it's fine, we can break up. And it's over like the little things. Yes. And it was so crazy for me how I could do that. I was like, what is that? Yes. And then I realized that, and I always did it to the most amazing people. And I was just like, oh man, it's because my body was just like, no, we're not safe here. Let's get out. Go. And I'm so happy that I got into this path. I was, on the path of finding myself, and then I got into a relationship, and it kind of came up a little, but I was able to catch it because now I was conscious of it, you know, and I was able to be like, okay, no, I'm safe here. It's okay. You know, I'm not in danger. And I think that has been the most beautiful thing.
That is so scrumptious. Oh my word. Oh, I love that. I'm so happy that you caught it. And it's like you said, we're always creating. I choose to consciously create. I love this. Oh my word. There's so many things that I want to pick up and go on, but I want to shift into our closing before they say that it's our time to get, it is our time, but this has been amazing. The 2 hours have flown by. So yes, I'm going to quickly wrap up with our Soul Salon closing. So the invitation is just to finish these sentences in 1 to 2 sentences, and then we will close. And then you can also let us know at the end of that where we can find you online.
Okay.
Wonderful. Okay. So the first question is, one illusion that we tend to believe is
that you have to be healed for you to get whatever you want.
Something I find sacred that a lot of people don't is
taking a deep breath and grounding myself.
Yeah. Related to that, the most sacred part of my life right now is,
I think it's the mirror work I do in the morning. Oh, I love it.
What is that?
So I have this list. It's a permission slips by Bashar.
Oh, I love Bashar.
Exactly. So so every day there's something that you do. So on Mondays, I can remember the Mondays one because it's just take a deep breath and say these affirmations. So I am worthy, I'm unique. I think the other one is I'm enough. So saying these things and seeing how I actually believe them is so beautiful.
Saying these affirmations and seeing how I actually believe them. And there was a previous version of you who didn't.
Exactly.
Oh my word, that is beautiful. Okay, we'll link to that. So it's called Bashar's Morning.
I think it's the 49-day challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. We'll link to that below. The Bashar. I love that your mirror work is one of the most sacred aspects of your life right now. Okay. Number 3 is one thing that I am no longer available for is
things that don't align with the higher self.
If you only take one thing from this conversation, listener, viewer, it would be, I hope.
It would be that nothing is ever unrealistic, especially when it comes to your dreams. They're never unrealistic. Just because you've never seen anyone in your family have it does not mean automatically that you're not going to get it. Just believe that you're going to get it and you're going to get it.
Because if the desire exists, yes,
exactly.
It's this beautiful spiral that, yes, I love that. Never too delusional. Be more delusional.
Absolutely.
And I love what you're saying about just because you've never seen it in your family or in your community does not, you can be the change. And people are going to look at you and be like, wow.
That was possible.
Yes. And dream even further than that. So you are an expander. We need you to believe in big dreams.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. And then last question is, if my younger self, my inner child, walked through that door, I would say to her,
you're going to get everything that you desire.
Ooh, wow. Oh my word. Sno, this has been incredible. Where can people tap into your frequency, your writing, your work? How can they stay in touch with you?
Right now, I'm mostly writing on Substack and Medium. It's at So Abby, So Flowy.
I'm obsessed with this name. I've been thinking about it all day. I had to tell you, it's amazing. It's so much fun to say.
Thank you so much. I love it so much because I think it ties into the ebb and flow of life.
Yes.
You know, that's just what my writing is about. So it's So Abby, So Flowy on Substack and on Medium.
Perfect.
And then you can find, just for funsies, you can find me on Instagram. It's at Big Daddy Snowy. My name is Sinobuhle Maphosa on Instagram. So you can find me there. I'm not that active on TikTok yet. And I'm hoping to expand to YouTube and maybe have like also a podcast.
Yes.
But yeah, you guys are going to be the first to know when I finally do that.
Well, it's all happening.
Yes, absolutely.
Expand. We are so ready to receive. It's all happening. You will have all those things. And I just love So Ebby, So Flowy. I love the ebb and flow. And I also love how playful and pleasurable and fun it is to just say the word.
Absolutely.
Like, So Ebby, So Flowy. I'm like, oh my word, this could be the name of anything.
Yes.
It's like, as in you can continue to name your work this because it's so much fun to say.
Absolutely.
It has that viral, contagious, delicious feeling. And then also the resonance with the soul of like, we are tidal, we are cyclical, we ebb, we flow. So that's wonderful. We will link to all of your work below. Thank you so, so much. It's been such a gift speaking to you, learning from you, learning with you. Are there any closing feelings you are leaving the space with?
I just want to let everybody know how amazing your energy is. I feel like you get it when you're listening to the podcast, but when you actually experience it in person, I feel so comfortable. It's been so amazing. I can't even tell that it's been 2 hours. Oh my goodness. It feels like it only has been 5 minutes and it feels like it can go on and on and on because of how safe it is. And I wish you all the best in everything that you want. And I want you to know that you're going to achieve even bigger things and that it's already there. And I love it for you. And oh my goodness, your energy is amazing. This is such a safe space. It feels so safe and so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh my word. I received that. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that feels so good to hear you say that. Oh my word. I'm going to receive that. I appreciate that so, so deeply. Oh, I feel my inner child is like, thank you. Oh my word. Thank you so much for those wonderful, magical words. I'm going to listen to that again and again because that feels so divine to receive. I feel so grateful to have been in conversation with you. And I trust this is not the last time. So
I hope so too.
Yes, thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, for watching. If this resonated with your spirit, please share it with someone who may delight in the juiciness of this wisdom. And make sure to go and visit So Ebby, So Flowy, the Substack where it all happens. And we are so excited that we get to continue to witness and experience and receive the juicy, the abundant wisdom of this sensational being by my side here. I'm so proud to have made this episode one of my favorite and quantum moments where it feels exactly like the vision I had for this space and for the Soul Salon. So I'm so grateful to you, and I will see you. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next Soul Session. I love you. Bye.
My darling, my love, my soul sibling, thank you for stepping into the Soul Salon. If you are still hearing or watching this, we are soul siblings. We are resonating on the same frequency. And so something you may struggle with, that I struggle with, is the fear of being seen. You know that visibility is involved in you living your creative purpose and being in your power, serving the collective through your gifts, through your magic, through your medicine. In order to do that, you know you need to be more seen than you are allowing yourself to be right now. I have a gift just for you, heart-made for us on this frequency, and it is a free ebook called the Soulful Visibility Guide. That is soulful visibility. Like, we don't just want to be seen, we want to be felt, we want to be heard, we want to move and be moved. So I do have a free gift for you, and all you need to do is go to my website, ayandastood.com, and there you will be able to input your email address and receive this directly to your inbox. This is such a juicy and delicious guide, and I change the free offering every few months, so get it while you can. All the links are in the show notes. So thank you so much. I love you, and I will see you on the next soul session. Okay, I love you. Bye.